Hey everybody, how you doing? We are down in the Villages, Florida, and we got a mixed bag of stuff to talk about today. From watering your lawn, the drought problems we're having right now, a couple more questions about who's reporting who on what, and that type of thing. Also, I'm going to kind of introduce a little trivia question each time and see how that goes. And it's lightning and thunder out right now. While I'm sitting here doing this, we're going to talk a little bit about surge protection, that type of thing. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Rusty Nelson down here in the Villages, Florida, and welcome. We are a 55 and over retirement community. You haven't heard about it? About 160,000 people strong. Takes like 45 minutes at least to ride from the northern end to the southern end, and we got 290 pickleball courts and like 800 holes of golf, something like that, some ridiculous amount of thing. But anyway, I don't work for the Villages, but it's really a cool place, and I'm kind of happy I live here. Very unusual place, but we have a bunch of things to cover today, from people that just can't quite seem to get the golf cart thing parking down to people watering on the wrong days. I'm going to explain a little bit about that and try to help you out so you can correct that and make your watering a little bit easier, more efficient, and have a nice green grass like I kind of do now. And also, these tours, we'll talk a little bit about comments. These tours that I'm doing have kind of blossomed into, I got about 10 scheduled out now. And what they are, if you haven't seen them, are home tours. They're kind of put on by the homeowners themselves. They just purchased the house, they closed on the house, and like in that first hour after owning the home, they come through and give a tour of their house, but not just a tour. They also talk a little bit about what they've learned. And I kind of help you go through this. I used to do this for a living in LA, but they give you, things that they've learned about purchasing the house. Also, if they've put additions on, some of them want to talk about the cost of it and what they went through and the things you have to consider that. So we all get to learn. Also, the homeowners have a nice fresh cut video of their new home they just moved into that'll live out there, that they'll always be able to see and tell their family, friends, kids, daughters, sons, and all that kind of stuff. Grandkids say, hey, look, here's where we moved. You're going to be able to come down and visit us soon. So it works out for everybody. If you want to get in touch with me about that, please put it in the comments or go to my Facebook page. I'll put a link down below, and you can go straight to that and put a comment down there in Messenger on Facebook. Contact me, and I will get back to you. Anyway, enough of that. We'll get. I just got back from over at Bob and Liz's. We were deciding on where to do our next restaurant review. I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with crabs, and we're going to go. We do restaurant reviews outside the Villages. And so make sure you subscribe on that. I'll put the QR code up there for that. Let's talk a second about comments, and really quick. Ever since I did the Trump video thing, people seeing that, it's, yeah, that's all I can say. Just like rotten comments, that type of thing, and contingencies of, like, if you do that again, I'm not watching you, and that I'm not subscribing, or I'm unsubscribing. I'd like to think that you folks out there are a little bit more open to things. Now, I covered Trump being here. I didn't say whether I was for him or against him. I just thought it was really cool that all these people were out there lining up to see him and that type of thing. And he is the president of the United States, plus the governor, future governor, I should say, maybe, was there also. So it was kind of fun. I don't need viewers that put contingencies on me. I like to be open to your comments as long as they're not crude, like kind of nasty, snarky at somebody. If they're constructive, hey, we all get to learn from it. It doesn't matter what side of the fence we're on. Like I always say, throw beach balls, not knives over the fence, right? We'll all get along just fine. And so, no more comments, please, with contingencies of whether you're going to watch or not, because, I just assume you don't. Anyway, it's kind of like the section in the newspaper. You open it up, you may throw away the sports section. You don't want to watch it, but it doesn't mean you quit reading the newspaper. So anyway, I was just over at Bob and Liz's house across the street, and we were deciding on a new restaurant for us to go review. If you haven't watched those, subscribe, because we're going to someplace right around here in about a week or so, a little less than that, to a place, I'll give you a hint, has to do with crabs just outside the gates here in the bubble. This is kind of a little news section. I decided to do this. Let me know what you think down in the comments, whether you like this or not. You know, the Knicks just won the world championship for the NBA, and all of a sudden they had this ticker tape parade in New York. And all of a sudden I started thinking, I'm going, you know what? There's a lot of people bordering on people my age that have no idea why it's called a ticker tape parade. Well, back in the day when they used to celebrate and they'd have those parades going down the streets, the big streets with all the skyscrapers around, they used to have machines that would put information out on the stock market, like prices and sometimes news and that type of thing, that kind of look like this. And they would spit out these long ribbons of, quote, ticker tape. And that's where the name ticker tape came from. And then the office workers would take them and cut them all up or leave them in long rolls. They'd see them throw them out the windows, and they would have these giant parades, just like they just did in New York now for the New York Knicks. And congratulations to the Knicks. Sorry about that, Sixers, maybe next year. But anyway, that is where the name ticker tape parade came from. All right. This is a story. So I get ready to go, get done half a round of golf over at Southern Oaks, and it's hot as all get, and I can't wait to get out, get into Marketplace, have a drink, that type of thing. And I go to pull into a parking space, and you ever see those shows where they have somebody cut somebody off going into a parking space? And the guy gets all mad and torturous and throws his arms up in the air, that kind of thing. Well, it can happen in the golf cart world too. So I go to pull into this parking space. I had actually just turned around to go back into it. And as I'm coming around, this guy comes around the corner, and it's one of these four bangers golf carts. And all of a sudden, he pulls in just like this. And I'm looking at them, and they get out and they look right at me as if in what? And they can tell I'm kind of disgusted, right? So I end up, I didn't say anything, I didn't yell or anything. I just shook my head and turned around and walked away. The worst part about it is when I park my golf cart and go to walk into the place, the guy's literally turning around and looking at me as if I'm going to do something to his golf cart. Now, as you can tell, it was a brand new golf cart, spanking new, didn't even have the tags off the tires yet. And so anyway, guys, if you're parking your golf carts, I don't care whether you got a new golf cart or not. That's not the way you park in the middle of it, right? Okay, enough said. On to the next subject, and it has to do with watering. A lot of times I'll go out in the morning, and instead of playing pickleball, I'll go out and early in the morning and go for a walk. And it's Saturday morning, and kind of gather my stuff together and go out for my walk and walk out for about 1.5 miles, and I turn around and I come back and I see this at kind of like my turnaround point, and I'm going, man, oh man, these ponds are really, really getting low. And I was thinking, God, you got to make sure people follow these watering schedules and stuff like that. And as I'm walking back, thinking, oh, this is pretty cool. A lot of these people aren't watering their lawns and stuff like that. And I hit this next pond, and I see the pond, and I'm going, wow, this pond's really down too. Then all of a sudden I look up and I see, oh, this has got to be like around 8 o'clock or something like that, maybe 7 something, 8 o'clock, something like that in the morning. And this is a Saturday morning, folks. So keep this in mind for a second. And then I go turn around the other corner, and the next corner I come around, there is somebody else watering their lawn. And as I start to round it to get all the way done, and I'll put a little levity in this, there's another person watering their lawn. But the funny thing is look at the name of the street. It's pretty funny. Come on. Anyway, there are actually days that you have to, that are scheduled to water your lawn when we're under these conditions. And I'm going to tell you what they are briefly. Here we go. I'm going to read these off to you really quick, not to belabor this, but you can take screenshots of this, and then I'll show you exactly what I do afterwards, how I have mine set up, and how, believe it or not, that I'm only watering once a week and in this heat, and I still don't have any problems. So let's take a look at these. To help protect water resources, Southern Florida Water District has issued this modified 3, and it's good till July 1st, at which point they will update it. This is good for all these districts in these counties, Marion County and Lake County. Now, you may ask, as far as times, remember I said I saw these were at like 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever. You can water from midnight to 4 a.m. and 8 p.m. till 11:59. So those are your basic watering time. Residents should update their irrigation timers to match these requirements. And hand watering allowed any day, but only before 8 a.m. and after 6 p.m. Car washing limited to once per week, and you must use hose with a shutoff valve. So that's that. Now, what days? How do you figure out what day? Your watering day, and this is off the village's website, if your address ends in 0 to 1, it's Monday, on up till ends from 8 till 9 on Friday. Notice there is no Saturday in there. New lawns, those folks with new lawns, you may be going, oh, my lawn would never do it. And that's true because they take a lot more water. You get to water it differently for the first 30 days and then for the second 30 days. And I will let you take a snap picture of this. Now, you may ask, how in the world do you water your lawn? Now, I put up, and I will put a link to this right here. I did a video on how I kind of revamped my water system. Wasn't hard. I'm not going to go into detail on this. You can see the details, but in essence, what I did is I put this wand in there, and I will put up the link. I'll put a QR code there, how you can get it. It was easy to hook up. And let me tell you one thing, that it was great once I had it hooked in there. It was so easy to use on the phone. And what I did, instead of watering, say, 20 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever you were watering all in one foul swoop, say for your bushes, your lawn, or whatever, each section of the area, I set it up to where you had it watered and soaked. So my sprinklers actually go for 5 minutes, and then they go out, and it goes out and waters all the other sections, and then it comes back in and does another 5 minutes. So the water has already soaked in. So a lot of that water, instead of running into the street and wasting it, is going directly towards the roots of the plants. Now, if you take a look here, these are pictures of my lawn, and see, it's nice and green. And as you can see in this one little area, this is where I got hit with chinch bugs while I was away. And luckily I caught it, but it's filled in nicely. And what I've done is kind of implemented that hand sprinkling just for that one area. When it got really hot, I would sprinkle that one area, and it is growing nicely. So folks, please, we don't have that long. We got, about 5 weeks until they go back and look at this. We just got a nice thunderstorm today, kind of rain through here, so things are starting to come in. And, take a look at those rules. You can just Google that or use AI to look it up. It'll come up nicely. Just so you know, I was just talking to somebody and said that they have actually started to hear now of people that they go look at your water bill, and they can tell by your water bill if you're watering too much. And along with your water bill, now they're starting to put on fines onto there. So I'm not saying it's happening everywhere, but it's obviously happening because I heard some people talking about it. Anyway, let's talk about a couple of these comments I got. These are people kind of jumping on me. Let me explain, give a little walk back on the story. First of all, there is a thing in the villages where when you move into the villages, you basically sign a contract. When you come in here, you have paperwork that tells you these are the things you're allowed to do. These are the things you're allowed to have in your outside yard. If you're going to cut a tree down that's over 4 inches in circumference, you have to get approval to do it. You can't put political posters and whatever it is. It tells you, hey, we're all going to move into the neighborhood as happy neighbors. We're all going to abide by these and we're going to move on. So they have to have a way to police that somehow. And early on, the villages said basically, hey, you know what? Let's just have the neighbors, when they see something wrong, they report it and report it anonymously. So there's no blowback as being the neighbor. The other option is to have somebody go around and point to everybody and go, you're out of line, fix it or get fined, one of the two. I mean, that's basically it, right? If I'm wrong, put it down in the comments. Like I said before, I'm open to learning. Now, what happens is people move into the area, and whether by ignorance or didn't read their contract, or they're basically, like in the last video, I said they're giving one of these to their neighbors and saying, I don't care what you think. I'm coming in here and doing whatever I feel like doing, okay? Whatever the case may be, you are doing something wrong that's not within the documents or what you're supposed to do. Now, living in an area like this isn't for everybody. It's not. And if you want to go live on a farm or live in a jungle or live in the city or whatever you want to do, that's fine. But when you move into the area, you agree to abide by certain rules. So some of the areas, some of the districts up north have said, well, I don't like it that somebody's going to accuse me of doing something, right, without me knowing who it is. Now, for me personally, I don't care who it is. If I'm doing something wrong, I agreed to part of a contract. And if somebody's telling me, giving me a warning, hey, you got a warning, your grass is 3 feet high. It's not supposed to be 3 feet high. Cut it. I don't care who reported me. All right. And if you understand the system, it doesn't go directly to me. It goes to the department in the villages. They handle it. They look at it, see whether there's any validation to it. And then they come and they may send somebody out to look at it. If somebody had sent pictures of it or whatever it is, they take care of it before it even gets to you. They decide whether this is true or not. Well, what had happened in some areas, some people had gone out and just started reporting a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know this for a fact, but I kind of get the feeling that they got reported. They were doing something wrong. And they got mad and reported a whole bunch of other people. The problem in my belief is the fact that they were doing something wrong. That's fine. Here's the thing, is if they report it to the district, right? They report it to the housing administrator, whatever the heck it's called. If they report it and there's no validity to it, you'll never see it. You'll never hear about it. I mean, somebody could say, hey, Rusty's grass is 3 feet high. Well, if they come by and it's not 3 feet high, or they don't supply pictures of it being 3 feet high, I don't see it. I don't even know about it. So here's a couple of the comments that I got. And this one guy wrote, hopefully you understand that. If you don't, please put something down in the comments. And like I said, if I'm wrong about something, let me know. I'm happy to learn. And he says, don't be out of line, dude. Maybe someone will make a vendetta on you. Just saying why you should know who's reporting the things on your house. So here's the thing. If somebody does that, and I haven't done anything wrong, it probably will never get to me. Because they'll say, hey, Rusty's got 3 feet grass, and they got a vendetta on me, you got 3 feet grass, then I'll never hear about it because they'll drive by and they'll go, hey, he doesn't have 3 feet grass. But if I do, me, being who I am, but hey, I'm sorry, neighbors, family, friends, whoever live in the neighborhood. I made a mistake. Was supposed to keep it 3 inches. I read it all wrong. So that kind of addresses that one. If they have a vendetta on you, they're going to figure that out soon, and they've got computers. They'll just start blanking those out. Now, the other one I got that dealt with this, it says that Brian said, okay, should be okay to drop a dime on someone if it's in your district. For me, once again, I drop a dime. It's either you have your neighbors or somebody report it and go, hey, this is not right. Can you have somebody send them a little note and have them fix it? And they should. Or we can hire somebody to go out and they're going to nail everybody. I went around my neighborhood right here just for kicks. I counted 39 violations. So am I going to go out and report them? No, I'm probably not. But now, like I said in the last video, if they put a big rock, he's spitting water out of his mouth, I'm going to report it. And they don't need to know who it is. They just need to fix it, right? Now, you can kind of see where it gets me a little confused because I don't think people are quite thinking, and I could be wrong. I'm not right about everything. I mean, if I'm wrong, let me know. But my theory is one, I don't think you need to know who did it, because suppose I do. Suppose all of a sudden I know who reported me for having 3 feet grass. What am I going to do? Run over to him and go, Bob, hit him with a bat? I mean, I'm not going to convince him to tell me, oh, well, you don't have to cut it because you're really a nice guy, so I'll change my mind. Or I think, for the system to work, if I've got the 90-year-old is not going to come up against some 6.5-foot, 400-pound guy that's got the 3 feet grass if they're going to know who it is. I don't quite see why you need the animosity. I just say, hey, go fix it. And if you're accused of something that's not right, they're going to see, hey, the guy he didn't paint his house purple. So they're going to say, right back to the person, say, hey, we don't. And the reason I know this is because I know people that have had those types of things happen. They've reported something and people got really pissed off at them and that type of thing. So that's all it prevents. If somebody really knows why, the basics of it, why you really need to know. If it's just a personal thing, I need to know, that's okay, then say it. It's just a personal thing. But I think the anonymous part of it makes more sense. Or we just go to a whole system where you have one guy runs around all the neighborhoods, and I guarantee you that person's going to start finding everything. So that's about it for that one. And I think we're kind of at the end. I want to say one more thing. About 2.5 years ago, I put out a video on surge protection, and it's pretty detailed about the different layers that you may want to think about as far as surge protection. As I look down at this weather chart right now, I can hear the lightning going off around here. And the only thing I really don't cover in it is whole house. Like, in other words, if you put lightning rods up, it's up to you whether you want to do that. I chose not to. But anyway, I'm going to redo that video. I'm going to update it because there's been a few implementations of the laws that have changed. And I'm going to do that. Make sure you're subscribed so you get it. And it's kind of a good video if you are just moving into the Florida area, because say we are the lightning capital of the United States. A little bit of a fight with Texas there, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and all that happy stuff. And once again, I'll either see you down in the villages or I'll see you back here on YouTube. Thanks a lot for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend.